Yay, good morning, you guys. Good morning, good morning. Just want to make sure I'm where I am. I know it's like 11 a.m. on the dot. I considered myself a little bit late because I got caught up. I was watching a friend of mine's video in one of the groups that I'm in, a friend of mine who I have known for, sheesh, good Lord, quite some time. And she was just sharing in her video about how grateful she is about where she is in life right now. That's taken a long time to get there. And I've known her. It's interesting because known this person, gosh, so long. We worked together for years and years and years. And even after I left and she left this company, we stayed friends. And we both ended up, kind of getting back into our spiritual paths. And it's so interesting to go from being in the corporate world together to being on this path together. And she was just sharing about her gratitude, and I totally feel her on this, about how grateful she is for the course that her life has taken, for her partner, for her education, and her teachers that have come in to her. And it made me think about that kind of stuff too, about how grateful I am for all that and where I am right now in my life and how comfortable. And it was so funny because she said, sometime this year she's going to be 49. And I was like, oh my God, so am I. I didn't realize we were the same age after like almost 2 decades of being friends. I had no clue. And Kay, holy crap, where have you been? I'm waving at you like you can see me. You're so funny. Good morning, Meredith. But I was listening to her and I thought to myself, and she said, I'm just so comfortable and grateful in my life. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that sentence just feels so right for me right now too. And I just almost started crying watching it. And then I was like, shit, it's 11. I gotta go. But anyways, you know who you are if you see this. And I just want to say your video was wonderful. And I'm so happy for you. I commented on it. But anyways, so today let's talk about some stuff. If you are here, say hello. If you're watching the replay and you have questions or stuff you want to share, just do hashtag replay so I know to come back and say hello later. So today, we're going to talk about, and it was funny because I was complaining to some of my, hey Katie, I was complaining to some of my friends, my woo messenger coffee clatch that I hang out with most, like on and off on the day, like we're all self-employed when we do this kind of thing. But I have 2 of my soul sisters. In fact, that's the name of our little text messenger thing. That I was complaining about how Spirit, I'm like, oh my God, they totally were on the ball last month. They gave me all my topics, all the things, and they would give me shit and la la la. And I don't know what the hell I'm going to talk about on Monday. And then all of a sudden over the weekend, they're like, here you go, boom, boom, boom. And I was like, I don't want to work on the weekends and do graphics. So they were like, just make the one graphic. So that's what I did. So anyways, today we're going to talk about, who are you asking permission from? Okay. Because I think, and this is something that came to me from Spirit, and it was a reminder of the fact that recently I had really realized that I was asking permission a lot. And as I was sharing about my friend earlier, that she was like, yeah, I'm going to be 49 this year. And I'm thinking, I'm going to be 49 too. And it even was more amplified in the sense of I'm going to be 49 years old and I'm still asking for permission. What the hell is going on with that bullshit? Because I think we all do that. It's not like, I think it's not as obvious now that we're older as it was maybe when we were kids. But, I think that that's something that kind of is one of the things that gets in our own way, is that we start asking for permission about things. It's like we're grown-ass women or men. And we start asking for permission about what's going on there. So anyways, if you're new to me, I am Soul Coach Michele, your friendly neighborhood super woo. And I'm dedicated to supporting you in your spiritual journey and helping you manifest a life that you love. So whether that's from things or from group sessions like the one I'm going to conduct this Saturday, or just kind of hanging out here with me here, or just kind of chilling, and some other stuff that I have coming up, which I'm excited about, but I'm not going to say because it's not going to come out till like May or June, so I can't tell you about it just yet. But it's exciting. The people that I've done the experiments with love it, so you'll love it. Anyway, so that's who I am. Welcome, welcome if you're new. And welcome if you're not so new. There's some folks on here who have known me since like we were wee little tots and in North Country School and Setauket School back in the day. You know who you are. But anyways, the thing, about this whole permission thing is like, when I was leaving corporate, it was like, is it okay to change my career? First of all, is it okay to change careers? Like I've been in law for a long time, and what are people going to think of me? Is it okay if I walk to the beat of my own drum? I mean, I think that's something people ask themselves daily, is that it asks permission to be themselves, to sing their own thing. Mary Jo, what's happening? Hey, girlfriend. Hello. I'm so glad you're here. And it's like, is it okay for me to just be who I am? I had one client, and this broke my heart. And I was so glad, but at the same time, I was so glad we were talking about it. It was coming out so that it could be healed. But she said, I feel like I have to ask permission to just be, like be. And I was like, oh, owie, that just hurts. Some other things I wrote down was, is it, and this was in my business. It was kind of like I heard myself asking questions like, is it okay if I don't listen to these gurus anymore? Like I was making, the second year I was in business, I was making myself nuts listening to like the Jeff Walkers, the Marie Forleos. And I felt myself kind of going back to that over the course of the last year. And I was like, I don't want to be there again. That doesn't feel good. I'm not saying their stuff isn't valid. It doesn't work for me. Like when you look at things, a lot of stuff in our world is cookie cutter. It's one size fits all, but we're all different. And asking for permission, it's if you should or shouldn't do something, it's like you're opening yourself up for other people to shit on you. Okay. And that's kind of where I'm going. But, the bottom line is, is something okay to do? You're wondering, I'm sitting here like, who are we asking this permission from? I mean, who are we asking this? Like, and really what it comes down to, I think, and this is just my hypothesis, you take with it what you want, but my hypothesis is that we're programmed in childhood for this asking of permission thing. And it's for many reasons, because we come into this world. I don't know if any of you have ever had a puppy, or kid, obviously, but like we're total spazzes, like at that small age, because we're excited to be here. We're looking around. What's this? What's that? Oh my God. And we don't really pay attention to anything, but we are super in the moment. We're super literal, all that kind of stuff. And in the context of, say, a schoolroom, it probably was a good idea to have like this kind of back and forth of asking and permission granting and saying, well, is it okay if I do this? And then saying yes or no, because it did two things. One, it kind of taught us how to act in a community, like, do I slap my neighbor? No, that's probably not a good idea. But then like we might ask, may I go to the restroom? And we would get a yes or no. And the reason, you had to ask that was because the teacher wanted to know where you were, if you were gone too long, what was going on? Are you in trouble? Do we need to get you some help? Making sure everybody was safe. And I think that's the whole thing. In the beginning of our lives, we asked permission from our authority figures, teachers, parents, other relatives that, they all loved us for the most part, right? But we were asking permission because we wanted to, what the question we were really asking was, is it safe for me to do this? And normally you get a yes or a no. Is it safe for me to slap my neighbor? No, because then that opens them up to slapping you back. Do you want that? No, let's not go down that road. Is it okay if I go to the bathroom? Yes, it's right down the hall on the left. Just make sure you take the key and come back immediately after. You know what I mean? Like how to conduct oneself. Is it safe for me to do this? Is it safe for me to go here? Is it safe for me to make this choice? I mean, that's the basis, right? Is it safe for me to make this choice? Like, think about it as something that in the beginning of your life, it was needed. It served in that moment, in those first, say, 12 years of life, right? When you're in school. And then you kind of go out into the world and you start adulting and you go into corporate America. I mean, and I don't know about you guys. I've done this. I don't know about y'all, where I needed a vacation day or I needed a mental health day or I wanted to go on vacation or it was like just kind of like I woke up and I was not feeling good. And I would have this 30-minute long internal dialogue about like, will they, well, what happens if I'm there? Like, if I call in, will they, I really need this, but I don't know if they're going to think poorly of me. But I have to ask permission. Like, I was asking permission for something I already had. Like, when you get hired somewhere, you get X number of, we called it PTO, personal time off. Um, and you were allowed to use it. But there was this weird inner permission thing going on that I had to get over. And for the first like 20 some odd years of corporate work, it was really weird because I was asking permission within myself to do this. And the other thing was, I did have some bosses who were not supportive of that, like, saying, yeah, you have the time, go take it. But most of them were. But the internal dialogue is totally unnecessary. Because when you're an adult and you're like, I don't feel well, I need some self care, whether it's I need to stay in the bed, drink tea and orange juice and eat soup so that my body gets better, or I just need a mental health day. That everything's been too much and I just need it. The fact is, when you're an adult, you don't have to, your request for wellness, when it's not a request, I am claiming my wellness day, and that's reason enough. But a lot of us have held on to that programming of asking permission. Like, I literally shook in my boots about quitting my job, and it had nothing to do. I was over the hump of, and if any of you have made that leap, the hump is, am I going to live under a bridge without the paycheck every 2 weeks? You get over that hump, and then you do it, and you're good, right? So the next time after that one was telling your boss that you were leaving. And that, for whatever, I was like, I almost was asking permission to leave my job when I'm like, this is my life. I look back on it and I don't have any judgment for myself. I just have oh, that's an aha thing. Is it okay for me to quit this job? And really what it came down to is, it safe for me to do X, right? Because it's scary. Here's the deal. Here's the bottom line of this whole permission thing. When we're small, it serves because you're asking, is this safe or that safe? Because you've just kind of gone from the 5D realm and all the other Ds into the 3D realm. This was a choice. And you're here and you have these larger humans when you're a little human and you're wandering around going, is this safe? Is that safe? Can I do this? Obviously, I can't walk through walls anymore. So like, is that door thing? Is that safe? Should I walk through that? Is this how this works? There's a lot of like ask and permission or ask, and it's more of an informational exchange when we're little, but because we do it for so long, it sticks. But now I'm going to encourage you to let it go because I want you to see what that really is now as an adult. When we're asking as adults, is it okay that? What you're really asking is the same question you asked when you were little, which is it safe for me to do blah, blah, blah? Is it safe for me to leave this job? Is it safe for me to start my own business? Is it safe for me to follow my own drum beat? Is it safe for me? Like, here's another one. It was like, is it okay for me to use this pressure cooker Instapot thing? Now I'm all about it. I live and die by the Instapot and all the lids that I have that make it like everything, all the appliances in your kitchen. But at one point, because my adult in my life, one of the adults that when I was little and they were an adult, they were like, oh, pressure cookers explode. How many of you have heard that? Probably tons of you have heard this. But the fact is, the Instapot, like, I had to say, okay, it's safe for me to use the Instant Pot because the lid latches, there's a computer, it won't open until, and it's got more than that little hinge on the end next to the handle. It's like the entire thing clamps down. So is it safe to use this? Yes, as long as you read the directions, right? So if we can start saying, is it safe for me to do this? The other thing is, because I said it was twofold. The other thing is, what you're also doing is stepping out of that role of child and stepping into the role of mature mature spirit having the human experience, where you go from asking, is it okay that I do this, to saying, oh, wait a minute. Mm, I get to make, because this is the whole responsibility, accountability thing that people get all mucked up in because they think, oh shit, I did this. I attracted this shit in my life. I'm like, okay, first of all, wipe that clean. Bye bye. What it is I get to choose. Now you got to be, honest with yourself. And if you choose to sit in your shit and not do anything, then yeah, you chose that. And that's why you're sitting there. So here's my advice for you: stand up, get the broom and the mop, clean up your shit, and go on. I mean, that's kind of like my basic thing. It might take a year, 12 years, who the hell knows? But the fact is that you do it. And it was your choice. Nobody can come, and no adult can come pick you up when you are a mature spiritual being having the human experience and drag you out of your crap if you don't want to go. So the cool thing is I get to make these choices. I get to choose how I'm going to navigate. And it's through your vibration and your emotional responses to things that we attract and navigate this life. And it can be scary and empowering all at the same time. I want you to shift your mindset from this whole, like, what if the shit hits the fan, to, well, what if it doesn't? What if it turns into a glitter bomb and then there's glitter everywhere? Now, granted, that could get itchy in your eyes, but the fact is that you can do that. You can do that, because if we're no longer asking permission and we instead are claiming our choices, this is when we can say, it is safe for me. It is safe for me. Okay. So how do we do this? Right? Let's kind of talk about this. How do we do this? Because it's hard. It's easy to talk about. It's always easy to talk about. And don't think that I have this down pat, that I get off this live stream and I'm like, everything is fine. I have this gallery thing that you might have been seeing all week and last week that I'm going to do on Saturday. And you are welcome to come. I would love for you to be there. It is my very first time doing a group intuitive reading where, we do the collective and the individual readings on Zoom. I've always done them in person, which I always like that vibe, but because of what's going on, it's for safety purposes, in the Muggle realm, in the 3D realm, because that's where we currently are residing. We got to do it on Zoom, which is fine because it's all energy anyways, right? So that's a Saturday. Am I a little bit scared? A little bit, because I've never done it before. Could I choose to not do it and live in my little bubble? Sure. But is that part of my calling? Is that me showing up the way spirit and source energy and God has told me to show up? No. So if I'm going to listen and surrender, then I got to listen and make my choices. So understanding and accepting and acknowledging that I'm putting out fear vibrations up until the point that when I started doing stuff, I had to recognize that. I had to detach from the outcome. Good, bad, or ugly, whatever happens on Saturday, it's all for my highest good and for the highest good whoever is there with me. Okay? But I had to really sit down and say to myself, okay, what's going on? Why am I afraid? Is it someone else? Am I not surrendering enough? My internal dialogue on that had to happen. But the only way to have that conversation is to say, acknowledge and accept that I might be putting vibrations and emotional reactions out into the universe that create what's going on. So maybe if I let it go, it would go away. But how do I do that? So the second thing is, once you know what's going on, once you really have that honest internal conversation in a loving way, do not beat yourself up, then you have to take your breath, stop a minute and stop yourself, because you'll know now that you can't unknow this whole concept now that I've shared it with you. But you'll hear stuff come out of your mouth and you'll be like, oh, wait a minute, I'm asking for permission, which means I'm not feeling safe. So let me dig a little deeper and say, what about this is making me feel unsafe? What about this? And then you kind of come to that realization of, oh, it's this. And in my case, it was well, what if spirit doesn't show up? And of course, spirit, loud as day in my ear, was like, when was the last time we didn't show up, you ass? Come on. But when you catch yourself doing it, you have to acknowledge, you have to realize it. And then secondly, replace that fear. Say, stop, breathe. I would say stop, breathe, and then do something, because you have to like hit the pause button, reset, back to center, because in your center, in your present moment is where you have your power, and then move from that space. And it's usually, and I come down here with my hands like this because I always come back to the heart center. Okay. So secondly, when you catch yourself doing it, stop, breathe, and then you can write this down, or come back to it later. Or about 20 minutes in. So like you can come back to this later and write it down. But here's an affirmation I like to do. Okay. It is safe for me to make this choice. And I might be looking up because that's how I wrote it down. No matter the outcome, it is for my highest good and the highest good of all involved, and I am safe. And then thirdly, give yourself grace and embrace the archetype of the explorer. Because here's the thing. When we were children asking for permission, which translates to, is that safe? Is that safe? Is that safe? Now we're adults. We have the basis of knowledge of like, don't put your hand on the hot stove, right? Because like, duh. But when you're a kid, you're like, ooh, that's red. I wonder what that does. And then you did it one time and then you remembered. So your basics of this is safe, this is not safe, right? The physicality of it. I think as we get older and we mature, the safety moves from the external world to the internal. What will people think? Is it safe for me to come out of the broom closet? Is it safe for me to investigate my Akashic records, because that might be a little scary? Is it safe for me? I had one friend of mine who I absolutely adore. And she said, Michele, I'm still contemplating doing a session with you or coming to the group because you're so intuitive and that's a little scary for me. So it's all blah, blah, blah. Hello, stop, breathe, speak. It's all an internal questioning, which means we're asking permission from ourselves. We're asking ourselves, is it safe? And we have to move into the present moment and not be asking from the point of reference of our childhood self or our teenage self, but our current self who has all of the life experience that you have right now. And that yes, there have been speed bumps, there have been challenges, there has been joy, there has been sadness, but the choices you can make right now is, it's me this. With all the knowledge I have right now, the best choice I can make is X. And then you make the choice. The thing is that you give yourself grace and embrace that explorer archetype, because the grace thing comes in when you make a choice and you're like, oh, that did not end up like I thought it would. I don't know about you. I made pickled beets for the first time this past weekend. I had gotten a bunch of beets, real ones, like not canned. And, they come from a farm, not the grocery store aisle 11. So, I'm discovering all of these things because I'm a foodie and I'm kind of bored with the regular food. So now I have a CSA and they send home things that, beets come big bulbous with a root and a thing. Anyway, so learned how to boil beets. I'm very proud of myself. I did not turn the kitchen pink in the boiling of the beets and the jarring of the beets and all of the other beet things, because beets turn everything red. Now, from that perspective, it's like, okay, I have to give myself some grace here. I've never made pickle beets before. I called my mom and I was like, Mom, how do you make the pickle beets? And because I went to my adults and I was like, so how do you do this? And she said, well, you go to the store in aisle 11 and you get a can of beets. And I was like, okay, I got to go back further than that. So of course I went to Pinterest because, now that's the other adult in my life to find out new skill sets. But that's the whole thing. I wasn't asking permission if I could do it. I was seeking knowledge to do it because I'd already made the choice. Now, I did boil the beets. I learned, and I said to my soul sisters circle, I said, I should have listened to spirits. I said to boil them like potatoes, and I didn't listen. I looked at the stupid Pinterest thing and blah, blah, blah. Bygones. So at the end of the day, what I'm trying to say is, I haven't tasted these beets. It says to leave them in there for 3 days, and I made them yesterday. Tomorrow I'll find out if I did them right. And that is not going to stop me from making pickled beets if they come out and they're like disgusting. Okay, because I know for a fact that I do like them. I just need to make another choice to say, oh, that didn't come out as good as I thought it would. Maybe I need to tweak some stuff here. And then I'll just make them again, and go buy more beets. Maybe I'll get the canned ones this time, because if I screw them up, I won't feel like I did all this work until I know what I'm doing. But you're making different choices and giving yourself the grace, instead of eating them and going, oh my God, I wasted all that money and time. And I asked all these people, and now, and blaming myself or shaming myself for even thinking of trying this, because they didn't come out exactly the way I attached myself to the outcome. If I can detach and give grace to self as I'm making my choices, then my outcomes, regardless of what they look like, will be data points, will be more like rest stops on the highway of the journey, where you pick up a magazine and you're like, oh, maybe I'll go this way, instead of throwing in the towel and just beating yourself up. And the reason I say embrace the archetype of the explorer, think about, what does explorer mean to you? Like for me, as a kid growing up in the 80s and the 90s, Indiana Jones is like the archetype of the explorer, or Lara Croft, Tomb Raider. These are these two very empowered, self-possessed people, and they don't let being, like natives shooting them with blow darts or whatever, or, whoever's chasing them, stop them. In fact, and it's really interesting, and I've used this example before, in the third Indiana Jones movie, where he has to do the 3 challenges for the Templar Knights to save his dad because they shot him. There's the third one is called The Leap of Faith, and I think somebody here, let's see, Mary Jo mentioned it, Bren mentioned the leap of faith, because that's what we're really talking about. The leap of faith in the movie was signified by this big abyss where you have to get from this to there, and there's nothing there. But the book says, and all of the clues in these historical documents say, don't worry, it's there. You just have to put your foot out and it will catch you, right? And he inevitably does. And he puts his hand on his heart, sticks his foot out, and off he goes. And I always say it's really interesting that he puts his hand on his heart chakra, because you have to be in your heart space to make any of these leaps. Because if it's up here in your head space, you're never going to make the leaps, because your head is like, blah, 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 blah. It's always not only asking for permission, but telling you why you shouldn't have it. So being in our heart space to not ask permission anymore, but to embrace grace, to embrace the archetype of the explorer in our own lives, which we chose. We chose to be here. It doesn't matter how old you are, or what color hair you have, or what shape your body is, or your ethnicity. We manifested our little extension of source energy into that personification. And part of that is navigating this life as adults and saying, okay, I'm not going to leave behind my inner child or my inner teen or my inner 20 something. It's more, these are just different stops on the journey. And I can glean information, but I need to release all the stuff, because surely you don't have all of your trip tickets from the AAA from the 80s, because we didn't have the internets or the iPhones with the maps and the things, right? We had trip tickets, which are these big, thick flip books that you'd go to the AAA, and they'd highlight, if any of you are old enough like me, they would highlight your trip, the fastest way to get from where you were to where you wanted to go, right? And you followed that. And they were like this thick. And I remember my dad would save them. He would put them on the bookshelf, and we had bookshelves of these trip tickets. Now they moved here 5-6 years ago. And when they moved, you throw them away. Why? Because it's all on here. You had to throw them away. And the thing is, those trip tickets are no longer on here, because you don't need to know how to get from A to B. You know already, because you experienced it. It's more of a scrapbook or a picture album than something you have to carry with you. It is old programming that doesn't serve anymore. Like, I have a friend, when one of my high school bestie got married. Meredith, if you're still here, you may remember this. When Kelly got married, my bestie from high school, I was the maid of honor, and I switched shoes from the ceremony to the reception. And as we all were announced, how they announced the bridal party, And they announced me and the best man, and I promptly stepped on the front of my dress, and to make sure it didn't yank off my top, yes, Kelly's wedding, I fell forward and tripped and made an absolute ass of myself. And I was totally sober, by the way. I did not have a drop to drink. And it was hilarious because her mom was sitting next to her new mother-in-law. And the mother-in-law goes, well, I guess the maid of honor has had enough. And Kelly's mother says, oh, no, that's just Michele. She's sober. She hasn't had a drop to drink. So it was hilarious. But the thing is, you're always tripping, and that's a photo op. I don't carry that moment with me, other than as a memory. I don't let it guide my steps forward that, oh my God, I might fall down. I give myself grace and have explore, and we have fun remembering those goofy times. Now, yes, one of my other friends does have, he was a photographer, and he did you could make a photo book from these photos he took, which you don't get to see those. Unless you know him, then you'll see them. But what I'm trying to say is this: give yourself a little grace. Give yourself the permission to say, you know what? I can make good choices. I'm here. And in fact, I wrote down an affirmation I'll share with you in a moment. But what I'm going to encourage you this week to really pay attention and see the words coming out of your mouth or your thoughts. And is it okay if these are the sentences I want you to pay attention to, because that's you asking for permission from an authority figure that doesn't exist in your life anymore. And in fact, you're really asking for permission yourself from your divine trinity of self. And it's really saying, is this safe for me to do this? And if you can walk through, is it safe for me to jump out of a plane with no parachute? Literally, no. Is it safe for me, internally speaking, to enter into a relationship with another person? Because a lot of times when we enter into romantic relationships, it's a leap of faith. And that's really what we're talking about. Is it safe for me to leave this job and start my own business? Leap of faith. Is it safe for me to let go of, either people I've hired or colleagues that I've worked with? Is it time for me to let them go? Is it safe for me to do this on my own? Because everything that I've learned, I feel like I'm done with this. Like I went through, when I was taking voice lessons growing up, I went through probably 8 vocal coaches. And there came a time where it was like, okay, I've learned what I'm supposed to learn from you and I'm moving on. But that can be scary because it's a safety and a comfort to be with that person, that coach or that teacher. But you need to let go and take the leap of faith that you are well prepared. You are divinely inspired to do the things you do. And yeah, you might encounter more teachers. You might encounter things. But the thing is to know when to move from this to this to this to this, and to take that leap of faith, because that's what we're coming down to. It's all about surrender and letting go. I know that we started off with permission and you're like, letting go again? Oh my God. But it's true. We have to realize when we're asking, should I let go? Is it safe for me? Should I do this? And we got to get honest with self and say, what am I really afraid of here? Is it safe for me? Yes, it is safe for me to make this choice. And the fact is, it's safe because if you don't like the outcome, you can make another choice. And if you do like the outcome, well, hot damn, let's uncork the champagne. So I'm going to encourage you this week to really pay attention to what's coming out of your mouth. What are the thoughts going through your mind? And when you find yourself asking for permission, stop a moment, take a breath, say your affirmation, and then move forward in the direction you know is where you're supposed to go, where you are being called to go. So here's an affirmation you might want to remember in addition to the other one. It is safe for me to make the choices that move me in the direction I want to go. And if things don't work out as I imagined, I will simply make another choice. That's it. Just repeat that after. I'll say it again. It's safe for me to make the choices that move me in the direction I want to go. And if things don't work out as I had imagined, I will simply make another choice. That's your mantra for this week. Okay. So for today, that's it for today. Just a couple announcements. No Clubhouse this week, FYI. Darren and I, we have to drive another hour because he finally, yay-hoo, he's getting his vaccination this week. So on Wednesday, so no clubhouse this week. Other thing, I mentioned it earlier, I am doing my first group intuitive reading event this weekend. I've called it the gallery. You may have seen memes. It's going to be Saturday at 3 p.m. Central Time. And I will send you guys, I'll post it here. I guess I could do it here. I wonder if let me see. Will it go here? I wonder if I can pay. Oh, there it is. There we go. So there's the link for it. I put it in the comments here below. And if you want to attend, come on. No, you have to register there. And does it say show? There we go. Show. There it is. Yay. That's it. I could finally understand technology. You go there and you sign up and you can come and we'll do a group reading. It's 2 hours. And basically I go around the circle and share whatever messages are coming for you. And I probably will be guided to do a group collective reading and then different individual readings. But the synchronicities are always there. I remember when I went to see Abraham and I wrote down all my questions. And it was funny because they said at the beginning, even if because there was 300 people there, and they were like, we can only do so many people, but don't worry, your questions will be answered. Literally, I went down the list at the end of it. Every single question on my list was totally answered. Every single one, right down to ones that I was like, holy crap, seriously, this was really specific. So know that there are synchronicities that will happen. So even if I'm reading someone else, you're in the group, that reading and it resonates with you, it is meant for you too. So if you want to come join. I would love to see you there. And I think, let me just make sure. I think that's it. And just checking my notes to make sure. Yes, that is it. And I'm just going to really quick, I want to go back through the notes. Ooh, thank you, Margaret, for typing that up. Yeah, Margaret typed up the affirmation there, so you can copy and paste it, and maybe, or just put it up on, I have a cork board above my desk, so sometimes I'll put all my affirmations there, or put it on a mirror in the bathroom, because I don't know about you, we spend a lot of time there. I want to say thank you, Margaret, Mary Jo, Meredith, Rebecca, hey, you are here. Bren, hello, Bren. Yes, glitter bombs are delightful. Let's see. And Katie and Kay. Kay, I have missed you. I haven't seen your name pop up in my circles in a long time. Good morning. I'm so glad that you guys came today and joined me today. If you are watching the replay, please hashtag replay below and share any thoughts or ideas or any ahas you've had. And hopefully I'll see you on Saturday. And if I don't see you, I will see you on Monday at the next Messy Bun. Which topic? I'm not quite sure yet. I'll let you know when they tell me. But until then, I will see you in the vortex. Enjoy this lovely week and know that I'm hugging you through the ethers. I love you guys so much. I'll see you next week. Bye, guys.